You're watching Leafs Morning Take with host Nick Alberga and former NHLer Jay Rosehill. The show starts now.
With a point tonight, the Leafs can clinch the Atlantic Division title for the first time in franchise history. What's going on, everybody? It's time for the Tuesday edition of Leafs Morning Take presented by Bet365. And it's Nick Alberga and Jay Rosehill. How are we feel on this Tuesday, Rosie?
What is going on? Yeah, just kind of still chuckling about the Habs losing to an East Coast Hockey League team, but looking forward to the game tonight in Buffalo.
Don't bury the lead. Ivan Demidov makes his debut, but you're right. That is a very watered down NHL team who worked Montreal all night long. I enjoyed that one quite a bit.
Sometimes you got to sit back and enjoy where your team's at, right?
Exactly, dude. It was a bizarre game. I watched a lot of that one. I watched a bit of the LA Edmonton game. Some of these games, like you're playing out the string in that scenario. Los Angeles and Edmonton are playing each other in round one. So the Oilers pretty much dressed their B roster, and you can tell they were hitting to hurt in that game. And then we see the Darnell Nurse hit last night.
Yeah, I saw that. They got called out for trying to hurt guys. I don't know. Like Perry says, like, what do you want us to do? Like, I don't think dressing your B squad is gonna, is anything they can do about it with their injuries. And then they go and play, a rough style of game because that's kind of how those players are. And then they're starting to get blown out. So then they get pissed off and it turns into a bit of a muck around. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens with Darnell. I mean, just the Oilers just are not. I mean, can you imagine the Leafs after building up and everything are where the Oilers are right now? Like, knock on wood, the Leafs are healthy right now. And that's plagued them in the past. But when you look at where the Edmonton is, which I think they got, in net too, they've always just had problems. I can't believe they've never addressed their goaltending situation in all the years that it's been an issue. But yeah, they're not in a good spot right now.
Again, the Oilers are a perfect example of a team who can chomp into their LTIR positioning, and that's why they can dress a B roster, because that's the combo we'll have coming up on Thursday night. Win or lose tonight, whether they clinch the division or not, the Leafs really can't sit anybody because of injury, and the load management's not going to be a story this year.
Yeah, which I'm okay with. I think, we'll see what happens tonight. You get off to a big lead, and I don't know if chances are they won't. Again, everyone's going to be going pretty much full tilt, but if you're pretty sure you're going to get a point and lock it up, then I think it's not really load management, but just back off the minutes of some guys and spread it around. I think I've said it before, but you give the bottom six more reps, more minutes, more time to get some rhythm going, to find some chemistry with their line mates. All you're doing is taking your stars and backing them off and negating the chance of them getting, something happening really and tweaking something or getting injured. Lord forbid that happen at this point in time, would be devastating. But that's kind of, I don't mind that that's all they can do. That's all I want them to do. I hate it when you're trying to sit so many guys and then you're injecting the lineup with these guys that aren't even going to be there and they're playing with so-and-so and it throws. I just don't like that at all. I like a team to kind of know what they are and be what they are going into the playoffs, at least to some degree. And that's exactly what the Leafs can do this year.
Our Super Chat charity partner this season is Sick Kids. Want to make sure their question or comment gets on the show? Hit us up with a Super Chat. Proceeds from our Super Chat will go to Sick Kids, ranked the #1 research-intensive children's hospital in Canada and 3rd in the world. And that's the unique aspect, I think, of the season is the lack of load management. They've been playing hard down the stretch. And again, we've seen the other scenario play out. I'm actually excited to see how this scenario plays out, where they played some meaningful games down the stretch. And honestly, I don't think that hurts this team heading into the Stanley Cup playoffs. Do you agree?
To have these games mean something right now?
Yeah.
Not at all. It's you're not fighting for your life, so you're not trying to kill yourself. It's a perfect spot. Like, you need 1 point in the last 2 games with goaltenders and your stars and everybody else. You can, you're playing them as normal, but it's not desperation, and you'll still get a little bit of reprieve, hopefully, in, say, the last game, which will end up giving you X amount of days before puck drops, and you can kind of, like, I think they'll go Stolarz tonight and Wool on Thursday. That's what I would guess they would do. And that gives, I think they're going to start with Stolarz. That gives him time to kind of prepare and relax a little bit and get ready for the playoffs. But it's not out of the ordinary. It's not like he hasn't played in a week and a half. And it's not like you're resting these stars and you're putting weird players on their lines with their line mates. And then so-and-so is playing 20 minutes who's used to playing 14. It's just weird. I don't like it at all. And then all of a sudden it's, oh shit, back to normal again. And forget about what happened the last couple of games. I forgot. I'm not with that guy anymore. Like, I don't like that stuff at all. And it's the perfect mixture right now for the Leafs of playing meaningful hockey, but it's not desperate. And they'll, if they take care of business, which they should, they can get that reprieve in the last game, which gives them, I think, more than enough time to rest, recover, recuperate, do what they need to do. I think it's perfect.
We're looking for consistency, and the scenario I wonder to play out. So hypothetically, the Leafs lose this game, don't get a point, Tampa wins. Do you stick with the plan, assuming Anthony Stolar starts tonight, or do you go back to Stoli in a must-win game? I guess depending on how you feel Thursday against Detroit on home ice.
Good question. I mean, that would certainly show their hand on who they think the number one
probably.
is. I think Joseph Woll's done a great job as of late, and I think that he could handle the load. And I think it still might be this situation where, hey, we're going to Woll because we're starting Stoli in game one. I mean, you could start throwing hypotheticals around and what if this and what if that and what if Stoli's the reason they lost. And you're like, okay, well, why are you even going down that road? There's nothing in the last 80 games that would indicate that's going to happen. But if they do happen to not squeak out a point out of this thing, I just think you go with Woll and get the job done and then go into the playoffs with your plan still intact.
Anyway, Slice it. I think they take care of business tonight, but we're going to talk about that throughout today's podcast. You have a chance to catch that shootout, Montreal and Chicago. I still have no clue how they let Patrick Laine shoot after Frank Nazar. Upon watching it in live time, I mean, you could make that consideration that he scored that goal. Laine shoots, and then they go back and say, yeah, Nazar scored, man. A bizarre chain of events in Montreal last night.
That's really weird for the NHL. I mean, you've got how many? That barn holds the most fans in the entire league. Everyone's sitting there watching. The ref was right down the line. It's not like the puck had squeak between his shoulder and the post or something weird where it's like, oh, I can see. It was just a total run of the mill backhand. Cheese wasn't even. It was kind of center-ish of the net, not wild or weird, and right into the back of the net. And where did everyone think the puck went? Where did everyone think the puck went? Out into the netting and out of play? That's what everyone must have thought. But it's crazy that many people watching cameras and otherwise, that the guy that scored the goal is the only one that knew. It kind of reminds me of the Patrick Kane goal in overtime to win the Stanley Cup. He's the only one in the building that knew it went in for sure.
Yeah, I had that feel too, right? It was just really, really weird. And again, I guess the stock in that game too, not so much for Chicago, but Montreal needed 1 point to clinch a playoff spot. And to have their shooter go, assuming it was still a tie shootout, and it wasn't, I could see why they're pissed off. But certainly it's something the NHL has to clean up. You can't have that happen. I think, to the best of my knowledge, you have to clear every shot that's taken before you go on to the next one. Somebody didn't do their job right. That's what it comes down to, I think.
I would think so. I mean, the camera guy upstairs are in the truck, radio for them to hit. I mean, it happens quick, right? Where did that go? And then you got to rewind and rewatch. And yeah, that did. Holy smokes. It's a big deal. Stop the game. Meanwhile, Buddy's stepping onto the next puck. I mean, the shooters don't take long in between shooters and the shootout. So I don't know. You say the NHL needs to clean it up, but shit happens and that's an anomaly. And how do you prepare for, well, what if a guy goes backhand cheese and it gets stuck in the back of the net, but nobody in the entire building knows it went in? How do we protect? It's what the hell do you want to do? It's just an anomaly. I don't think it'll ever happen again. I don't know how it happened in the first place, but it is kind of shady. And of course it's in a game where, a team's trying to do something or clinch something and it's important and every point matters and but I mean, at the end of the day, okay, so that went in. Now's Buddy going to do a different move in the shootout? He's going there trying his best. At the end of the day, I don't think it changed anything. It's just kind of that didn't look very professional of a league that holds itself to the Big Four standards.
That Demidov's pretty nasty, eh? And I know it was his NHL debut. I know it was a watered-down roster. They did lose to Chicago. That's sort of the silver lining in this conversation. But a lot of Kaprizov/Kucherov to watching that kid play, to be that good at 19 is pretty scary.
I know those guys. The mutants they're churning out from all corners of the earth these days. Hyper specialized hockey players that are ridiculously skilled. Talk about Gavin McKenna too, and
Oh
the
my
job,
goodness.
that goal the other
Yeah.
night. I'm just like, I don't even know what to say about the stuff that the guy's doing and pulling it off. It's unbelievable. And yeah, this Russian kid looks phenomenal to just come out of the gate, second shift with that setup, to bury off the end wall too with a nice move. He is going to do some damage, and he's coming in at a perfect time for them. I think obviously they could use him, and he's kind of funny. He's sitting there. I can tell fans love me. He's going to be a funny, just grinning ear to ear after a massive loss too. You can tell he's excited. Big day for that kid, and he is bloody skilled. So I bet Habs fans are pretty invested in that one.
Did you have a chance to go check out that Hawks goal in the third period where he and Hudson pretty much dogged it on the back check and the Hawks scored a goal? Go check that
No,
video
I did
out.
not.
We lost that on the video, you know. That's the thing we
Kid.
lost. We're watching the kid play, right?
Still got to work hard, superstars. Still got to work hard.
If there's one fan base I can't stand, it's Habs fans. They're tweeting me during the game. This kid is half a game into his NHL career, and some loser is asking me a hypothetical. Would you rather Slavkovsky, Demidov, and Hudson, or Nyes, Matthews, and Riley? I'm like, dude, you're cherry picking. I didn't even answer the question. I'm like, that's what happens when you get fans who are not knowledgeable in Montreal. That's a question you get on social media.
Yeah, I don't know what our shame level is like when we're not doing great. I mean, I guess they're in a good spot, not even supposed to have made the playoffs, but you're fighting to get into, to lock down a playoff spot, and we're sitting top of the Atlantic, and they still just chirp off like you're garbage. It's kind of annoying, but whatever. They've got some prospects, no question. I think they've got a good coach in place, and they're finding more success than I think people chalked up for them this year. But, you could argue the Leafs are as well. So we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. I don't waste my time too much with those guys, but I think they are up and comers, man. They're going to give the Atlantic their hands full in the near future, most likely.
I hope they choke. In support of Sick Kids, thank you so much for the super chat, JD Anderson. Can I get a hello Pontus for that opening goal last game, Rosie?
Oh, Pontus. Yeah, hello, Pontus. Good to see you.
I need Pontus in the playoffs. Lastly, before we get to the main part of the show, you had a chance to see that video of the Atlanta Braves reporter wheeling and dealing in the crowd. Unsurprisingly, a portion of social media not too impressed with that, but what'd you think?
Is that wheeling and dealing? It looked like
I don't know. Yeah, you're right. It wasn't much riz, was it?
The wheels were triangles, buddy. I just chuckled saying, oh, this guy he's doing his best, trying to do his job, trying to make something interesting, while at the same time, I don't know, trying to go out there. And I don't know, the outrage on the internet, like a bunch of women, this is audacious. It's like, it's a guy with attractive girls, and he's trying to, charm them up and get a date. Like, oh my God, like the basis of humanity, man attracted to woman, like how awful. Get out of my face. I just chuckled at it and kind of cringed at the way he was going about it. And then I don't know, something on the internet was like, look at the Riz on this guy. And the comments were just like, Riz, I've seen more Riz on a friggin' kitchen sink sponge than that. But I don't know, I laughed, and just, of course, there's outrage out the ass that still exists. I hope that's going away, because people being outraged and offended by everything is getting so old.
Very old. I was the one who put the Riz tweet out, but yeah, I think some square wheels involved there. He did get the number. By any means necessary, he got the number, man. So that's all that counts at the end of the day. I just thought it was really interesting. You're watching a Braves Toronto Blue Jays game, and they interviewed two random fans who happen to be attractive females. So
I know. I don't know. They're running I honestly wonder how they fill the air in a baseball game in general. So
I know
they're going out there doing it. The guys that do it are pretty good, but yeah, that had a little bit of cringe to it. But to me, that's all it was. Everyone needs to settle down.
I agree. Playoff time only means one thing, Rosie. New merch after Bleeding Blue last season. Our slogan this time around is Now We Go. I'm wearing the black tee today. Make sure to check it out right now. Nationgear.ca, nationgear.ca, where you can purchase your very own Now We Go playoff tee. Some fresh new TLN playoff merch available right now. Nationgear.ca. As I put out on Twitter yesterday, it sounds like game one, if it is the Battle of Ontario, Rosie, is going to take place Sunday night. So book off your Easter weekend. Sunday night, Scotiabank Arena, Leafs, Senators, game one. Book it.
Easter Sunday, puck drop. Like, why have I never noticed that can conflict? I mean, it's whatever you are with your religions and whatnot. I don't really care, but it just seems like that's never been a problem before. But they're totally almost at the same time, and yeah, not ideal for some people. People have plans, they're flying families, dinners, but hell, throw the TV on in the background. Yeah, just odd. I just can't. For some reason, I can't think of that ever being an issue with those two things running up against each other. Can you?
No, it's just timing, I think, this year. But yeah, it's a bit unfortunate, I guess, if you're Catholic. I think the bigger issue for me is being a wrestling fan. It's WrestleMania night 2, but that's obviously going to take back fiddle. There's some big matches for night 2 that I really, really want to watch. But we're going to buckle in for game 1. If it is the Battle of Ontario, from what I understand, if it is Florida, it could be a different day, but it won't be Saturday because of the 2 days needed off after Thursday's finale. And by the way, it sounds like the series would be Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, then 2 days off between game 4 and 5. So then it would be Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday for game 5 to 7. So there's your schedule. Yeah.
That makes sense. I like it. I like it. Game 7 on a Saturday, if need be. Schedule seems normal. It's kind of what these guys are used to playing every other day throughout the season, especially with some of the COVID shortened seasons and the season after trying to catch up. This is nothing new to these guys. So while the intensity will ramp up, and I hope to hell that the intensity of the Toronto Maple Leafs ramps up, I just don't want to start that first 5, 7, 8 minutes of the first period, and it's like, they are overwhelmed. Oh, they are shocked by the intensity level. Like, boys, find your balls, find your guts, find your intensity level, find your adrenaline, and dump it, and be the ones that dictate the play. That is what I am just praying for this year. Like, be the aggressors for once in the playoffs. Set the tone yourselves.
I really want this Battle of Ontario, man. As a kid who lived with this during the Pat Quinn era, it was just a phenomenal rivalry. And I think it's a perfect time with the up-and-coming Ottawa Senators, the beef the last couple of years, and the Leafs under Craig Berube. I think it's a perfect storm for a fantastic Battle of Ontario. Don't forget as well, check out tonight's edition of TLN After Dark with Zach Phillips, guest Carter Hutton. I thought it was perfect to insert Hutz for a variety of reasons. Among them, he's a former Buffalo Sabre. We're going to get to that conversation as well, what it's like to play in Buffalo. You would know this as a member of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Coming up as well from Sportsnet Hockey Night in Canada, studio host David Amber is going to drop by here in about 15 minutes' time, Rosie.
Yeah, looking forward to that. He's always been a guy I appreciate, does his job well. And some of those cable networks, sometimes you're like, to certain people, not naming any names, but David Amber's always been rock solid. I've enjoyed him. So looking forward to picking his brain, as he's seen a lot of Maple Leafs this year, and he knows what they're all about. So we'll see what he's feeling coming down the stretch into the playoffs here. Also yesterday, was that some Nieuwendyk footage of, is it the last time they faced the Sens in the playoffs? There's a couple squeakers on the Leam, most notably, but I don't know, man. It's going to be a battle. Like, they haven't done great against the team this year, which I don't think matters a whole hell of a lot. Obviously, you'd want it to be the other way around. But they've got some goal scorers, they've got some grit, they've got some leadership, and they've got a goaltender. So, I mean, again, and I think they can be physical and ramp up the intensity. So, again, it's up to the Leafs to, dictate the intensity level themselves, and that comes from the D and the bottom six, and even guys like Bobby McMahon, and even the big boys. Like, you got to forecheck, you got to run, you got to finish your checks, you got to get in there and get dirty, because you want them to kind of have to respond to you, and that'll give you room out there for the big boys to do what they need to do. You just can't be overwhelmed and let the Ottawa Senators dictate it. If they are, in fact, I understand it's not a done deal, their opponent, but just already starting to mentally prepare for what that could be like, and what needs to happen out there for the Maple Leafs to have success against these guys.
They got noted Maple Leaf killer Claude Giroux, your former teammate, former captain of the Philadelphia Flyers. We're going to play that when it comes to betting in that series. Claude Giroux owns the Toronto Maple Leafs. At the Leafs Nation 401 on YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Leafs Morning Take, wherever you find your podcast, make sure to leave us a 5-star review, and don't forget to visit theleafsnation.com. So the final matchup, the QEW battle that we love all season long, Buffalo and the Leafs. The Sabres had been hot. I think they had won 6 in a row. They've now dropped 3 straight games. And the Leafs, as mentioned, we're not going to go through the math. Essentially, just pick up a point. You are the Atlantic Division winners, not to mention happening elsewhere in the NHL in the Eastern Conference. Florida and Tampa getting together tonight. It's the back end of the back-to-back for the Panthers, but they're deciding home ice in that potential series as well.
Yeah, I know that's a big one. We'll have to keep our eye on it as we watch, but it seems like it's not done, and you don't want to put yourself. You want to take care of business tonight. You don't want to get into that, like you just mentioned at the beginning of the show. What would they do if it comes down to the nitty gritty? And you don't want to be in that position. You're pretty comfortable right now, 1 point out of a possible 4, that you're in complete control of your own destiny. Then all of a sudden, you feel like you're not, or something could go wrong, and it's like the wheels start to almost fall off. You don't want that mentality going on throughout the locker room right before the playoffs. Be prepared. Be prepared tonight. When the puck drops, dictate, play together. Don't cut any corners. Adopt the system. Start to adopt playoff style of mentality now this week, so that it's not like you need to just flip a switch when the puck drops on that Sunday night. And take care of business so that there is no bullshit. And then you honestly have everything set up for you just about as perfect as you could ask the week of the playoffs, which is not the case for everybody.
We got another super chat. In support of Sick Kids, Leaf Hype writes in, Ottawa absolutely owns us. This is the most guaranteed first round fucking exit of them all. Convince me otherwise, please. Another jaded Leafs fan right there. I've learned a long time ago the regular season does not matter. Previous history doesn't matter. I think as long as the Leafs play their game, they'll win this series. Plain and simple.
I mean, yeah. And you could go and look at the specifics of the scenarios and situations of when they played Ottawa and find reasons for that, or just, a roll of the dice. But again, I think they are the better team. I think an 82 game season will prove they are the better team. You have to play your game again, and you have to be ready to elevate for the playoffs. You got to give room out there for your big boys to score. You know that the problem for this group in the playoffs has been the ability to score the goals. And I think that oftentimes you're letting the other team dictate the pace, and you're trying to match or scramble or, readjust all the time. And it's time that this team has the confidence to realize they are the big dogs. They are the one who dictates. They are the one that takes momentum off the gates. They're the one that creates space, and you put the team on their heels and make them respond. I mean, they have to have that mentality, but I mean, again, it is the NHL. That is a good team that they haven't had success against. That's why we're going to play it, to see what happens. Yeah. But I'm certainly nowhere near as jaded as that fella who's just guaranteeing.
Getting grilled in the chat right now. The chat is giving it to Leaf Hype right now.
Well, shit. I mean, we're right on the doorstep of the playoffs here, and we're in a good place. And to have that much negativity, I don't love it, man. I don't love it. I think you got to ride with these guys a little bit and think there's a lot of positives to talk about this season. So why would you focus so hyper sensitively about the negatives that are there? Because the negatives are there for all teams, man. And I choose to look at them and say they're the better team. They got to show up and they're going to win, and I'll be rooting for them and watching. And if something happens and they don't, then we can talk about the devastation afterwards.
Maxentius Decimus sends us another super chat in support of Sick Kids. Leaf Hype isn't living up to his name. We got this. I love that.
Yeah, Leaf Hype my ass.
I know. Like bullshit hype. Yeah.
Drag, man.
Man, I was laughing getting ready for today's show. Did you see this NHLPA player poll that came out earlier today? Can you guess which question the Leafs, Leafs players ranked the highest in? You're going to laugh.
Oh God.
Yes.
Fashion or something.
You fucking nailed it. Which player has the best fashion sense? David Pastrnak, 15.75%. Number one. Number 1B, Austin Matthews, 15.75%. And then number 2, so we had 2 guys tied for 1, William Nylander, 12.9%. So at least the rest of the league thinks these guys dress very well, Rosie. That's great.
Most earrings in the locker room, I guess they take the
like that's the one I don't want to be affiliated with. Like, tell me
the Lady Bing winner. It's like, who wants that? Really? I guess nowadays more so than back in the day.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guarantee you there are guys that, and it's all subjective, but there's some guys that have some class A suits and are just sharp as could be, and have the tweed coats and the pea coats and the jackets and the things, and it looks unbelievable, but it's not as flashy as earrings and no socks and pink loafers and Mickey Mouse shirts. And who gives a shit? That's not one that I really care to win, but whatever.
Oh, just so funny. I'm like scrolling this as I wake up today. I'm like, the Leafs
Damn
bound to
it.
have a player who got like MVP votes or something. And it's like, of course, it is a fashion sense is what this team leads in, man.
Guys in my group chat that we talk hockey about, Flames fans, Oilers fans, Jets fans, that type of thing. Oh, they just give it to the earrings and the haircuts and the no shirts and the purses and the Merces and the TIFF Toronto Fashion Week and the Noah. And I'm just like, stop, please. I don't care. But yeah, they're not the rough and tumblest looking group of dudes. No. But hey, it's 2025. Get with the program, sister.
Dude, I was sitting with Matt Larkin at Daily Faceoff over the weekend at the Leafs game against Montreal, and he notified me. I didn't know this. I guess pound for pound, the Leafs are the heaviest team in the NHL right now. Do you know that?
Really? Thanks to Matthew Nyes' neck.
Yeah, it's all Nyes' nutsack and his neck.
They're the heaviest team. Yeah, I mean, their back end looks pretty big. Austin's a big boy.
Revo.
You think Mitch would bring that down? See him with his shirt off the other day. You say he looks like Ellen DeGeneres. Oh, hey, he's got skill. He doesn't need to put on muscle, right? That surprises me. Heaviest team in the league. I thought like Vegas or someone with they still got a pretty big decor. Yeah, that's impressive. I didn't know that at all.
Yeah, no, it bodes well for the playoffs, right? Especially on the blue line. If you correlate and compare this blue line to even a couple of years ago, it is night and day in terms of the size and what we think brings success in the Stanley Cup playoffs. We just talked about the schedule. It's every other night, man. How's your body going to hold up is the big question. In support of Sick Kids, we have a response here from Leaf Hype and appreciate the super chat. Okay, I'm back. We got this. Thankfully thrilling. Now we go. Wow, so he's back in Leaf Hype. Thank you.
Now, and he's adopted the slogan. All right, Leafs Hype, you're forgiven. Yeah, he had a moment there. Leafs fans can have a moment where they just twitch out and short circuit and just flip out over what they're terrified of. So Leafs Hype is back to hyping the Leafs. I like it.
And JD Anderson's back to chirping Leaf Hype in support of Sick Kids. Thanks for the super chat. Leaf Hype is a meat smoker from Montreal.
Yeah, I like Montreal smoked meat, so I wouldn't pick that as an insult. Yummy.
I think if you pulled the entire league, they would say Montreal is the #1 road destination, right?
Ooh. Yeah, it depends, man. It can get cold and wind blowing and no one wants to do anything. I don't know. Some people don't like the French, I guess. You might not. I don't know if it'd be the #1. It's certainly
top 3.
Yeah, it's an awesome city. Yeah. The food's phenomenal. The restaurants and everything are phenomenal. The ladies are phenomenal if you're into that sort of thing. I'm just trying to think like, I don't know, New York, Chicago, Toronto. Yeah, it's definitely up there. It's a great spot. And I think you're silly if you don't like visiting there once in a while to play the pesky Habs.
Yeah, Nashville, Vegas, I think would be on that list as well. Just before we get to David Amber, Milestone watch on tonight as well. Marner needs 1 point for 100. Matthews 1 goal for 400. Tavares 2 goals for 40. Nyes 1 goal for 30. Does any of those happen tonight in your opinion, Rosie?
Oh, 100%. One of them is going to happen. I wouldn't be surprised if a couple of them happened. I could see Austin getting one, and I'll just tell you, I'll put money on Mitch getting a point. I don't know what it's not going to be great value, but yeah, he's going to get 100 points this year. He's been damn close. He's been playing. I think his points and his contributions this year have been more impactful than they have in other years. Even if he doesn't get a point in the last 2 games and he has the same amount of points as last year, I think they're more impactful this year. He's been kind of leading the charge, and I hope he's feeling it. I hope he's full of confidence. He doesn't seem to lack any of that, but it's the same stuff we talk about. It has to happen. Like, it does not matter. It has to happen in the playoffs. If it doesn't, what is it for? It's all for naught. So those milestones I don't really care about, especially like career number this. It's just a number to me. Just be firing all cylinders. Find chem. Find your best. Get your confidence going to the playoffs. That's all that matters.
The following interview is brought to you by Charm Diamond Centers. Get custom ring building delivered in less than 4 weeks with the Charm Masterpiece Program and an unbeatable pricing policy. Charm Diamond Centers is proudly Canadian-owned and operated since 1972. With more than 85 locations across the country through Charm and their sister brands. For more information, go to charmdiamondcenters.com. As we bring in today's guest from Sportsnet and Hockey Night in Canada, it is David Amber. DA, what's going on, buddy? How are you?
Nick, Jay, how you guys doing? I'm doing well.
Doing well. Looking forward to this one tonight. Think the Leafs finish the job here in Buffalo?
I do, but everything's so unpredictable. I thought Montreal was going to finish the job last night against Chicago. That didn't happen. I think they finish it. I think they sense the urgency. I think they want to have that Thursday versus Detroit as a rest day. I heard you guys just talking about the milestones. Let's get that out of the way, right? And get Marner, hopefully have the century mark, get Matthews his 400th. Guys can rest on Thursday. They can gear up and start getting ready for the Battle of Ontario.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm getting ahead of myself, but I've already done that. Thinking of the Battle of Ontario, what's your take on? I mean, obviously, I don't think anyone wants to face the Florida Panthers in the first round. I think they're just a juggernaut for the playoffs. But the Ottawa Senators have also had their number. Does that concern you at all? Their record against the Ottawa Senators this year?
The postman came to our door and my dog is a menace. Give me do you want to give me a second and I can just get her? Okay.
Do your thing.
Give me 1 second.
Yeah. No problem.
The whole time, but give me one.
No worries. Take your time.
No problem. Sounds good.
I love it.
That's good. Hey, it's live YouTube, man. That's what happens sometimes, especially when we work from home. You know, me and my fire alarms, right?
Yeah, I've seen that before.
That's coming up on Thursday. Fire alarm testing Thursday. That's coming up, Rosie.
I've never seen a building test their alarms more than your building. Like, is it a monthly thing? I've never seen it in my life, but
it is a monthly thing. We
safe,
have
I
a
guess.
Amber.
Sorry about that, guys. She's a menace.
Okay.
She's little, but she's a menace. So, anyways, don't worry about Bella. But yeah, no, it's funny. Ottawa has had their number all year, but I'm not sure any of that matters. We've seen that in the past where teams get swept in the regular season, and the playoffs is a completely different animal. We're all hoping for the Battle of Ontario. I mean, Jay, I don't think you were involved in any. I think it was a little before when you got to the Leafs, but those were great, intense matchups. And for the younger listeners and viewers out there, you want to see Curtis Joseph, who's the most mild-mannered guy in the world, could go completely apoplectic and lose his mind. It was during the Battle of Ontario. That's the intensity that you see in that rivalry. So it'll be really exciting.
That's right.
So many moments in those respective series, from Cujo smashing into the ref, the big hits, the big goals. Corey Cross we had on the podcast last summer. I'm really fired up. I was going to ask you too, as well, from like a TV rating standpoint, how big is the potential of a Battle of Ontario here?
It's huge, right? I mean, you take two very passionate fan bases. The Leaf fan base is the biggest in the National Hockey League. It's coast to coast. You have the geography, you have the history there. And quite frankly, it's shaping up to be a really good 2-month run for Sportsnet because, you have Winnipeg and they looked in a nice position to make a deep run. You have Edmonton. There's always that fan base and people who want to see, obviously, Leon Draisaitl, Connor McDavid. And then you have potentially the Battle of Ontario, and we'll see if Montreal can get things done. So it'd be 5 Canadian teams in, which would be fantastic. And Calgary's not dead yet, although, they're basically on life support a little bit, but they're still kind of hanging around. So I think it's going to be a real bonanza for us. And you know what? It's been a good year. 4 Nations, I think, woke up some hockey fans, created some new hockey fans. It was such an incredible, dramatic, 11 days. And I think it kind of got the juices flowing and got us into the stretch run towards the playoffs. And here we go.
Yeah, I agree. That's an interesting point that 4 Nations kind of set the table for the hockey that people have been longing for so much. And I don't think fans have ever really looked forward to, anything like the playoffs as they do, because it does ramp up so much. But it leads to my question of, what do you think is the key for the Toronto Maple Leafs to, maybe have more success or dictate the play? Like, what are some of the key components that you want to see if you're cheering for the Toronto Maple Leafs?
Well, one thing I would say, guys, is in talking, doing the Leaf regional shows with Nick Kyprios, Justin Bourne, Elliot Friedman, one discernible difference seemingly between this Leafs edition and previous ones is the blue line is their strength. The goaltending is their strength. We've always gone into these series saying, well, let's see what the core 4 can do. And we know how time goes away, space goes away, and scoring goes down dramatically. And maybe that'll suit this Leafs team a little bit better. What we've seen them do during this last stretch, they're 8-1-1 in their last 10 games. They're playing really the style of hockey that Craig Berube wants. I sat down for an interview with him on Friday, and I talked to him, and I said, has the team finally sort of come around to the style you want? And he said, yeah, they've really made leaps and bounds. And, obviously the addition of Brandon Carlo has been a big part of that. But when you think about this blue line, and granted, they're not healthy right now, but when you think about this blue line with McCabe, Tanev, OEL, Carlo. I mean, we're talking about, and I'm not even mentioning Riley, but I'm just talking about how different this feels in general to previous blue lines. They've blocked in the last 3 games. I just looked this up. They've blocked 69 shots. They've allowed 69 shots on goal. If you're getting above average goaltending, which they've received all year, guys, and you're blocking half the shot attempts that are going towards your net, that is a good recipe. It takes a bit of the pressure off that core 4 to score. Having said that, listen, they can't go 1 for 21 on the power play as they did in the playoff series versus Boston last year. They have to be consistent and proficient on the power play. And instead of the core 4, maybe this year will be the Fantastic 5. If Matthew Knies can continue his maturation, this is a guy who brings a different element to this team. And Jay, I'm sure as a former guy who liked to get his nose dirty out there, you're loving seeing what Matthew Knies can deliver, because I sat down with him too. And I said, you're 227. You look a little bigger than that. And he kind of smiled and said, yeah, I'm a little bit bigger than that. I mean, this guy's a beast, right? He plays a style of hockey. There's 3 guys in the league this year with 180 hits and 25 plus goals. Tom Wilson, Brady Tkachuk, Matthew Knies. And I'm not saying he is Tkachuk or Wilson, but I'm saying the evolution of what he can do and what he can provide on a strong forecheck is really important to this Leaf team. So it does feel to many people, I'm sure you guys sense this, it does feel a little bit different. Doesn't mean it's going to be easy road for them at all, but it does feel like maybe they have the better makeup to make a deeper playoff run this year.
I'm glad you brought up Matthew Knies. He's just had an unbelievable year, and this is what they've been missing since losing Zach Hyman, right? I mean, it has that feel where it's like he is just a perfect fit with Matthews and Marner.
Net front presence, strong forecheck, shows some tenacity, some ferocity. And when you're going to be on a line with Matthews and Marner, get them the puck, create some space for them. And he's great at doing those 2 things. And he has some finish. And we've seen in the last few games, he definitely has some finish. So, a lot of people have scratched their head and said, oh my God, I can't believe the Leafs let Zach Hyman go. And yeah, if you could do that over, I mean, he didn't, I don't know if anyone projected him to be a 50-plus goal scorer as he was in Edmonton, but he certainly was a great player in Toronto. And now essentially you have sort of a different, younger version who could provide a lot of the same elements as Zach Hyman. So that is really important.
Mm-hmm. David, how about in the crease? I think it's kind of all but been laid out that Anthony Stolarz is probably going to start in the playoffs, but how would you deploy him and Joseph Woll? I mean, they've kind of been switch hitting them for a long time. You saw what Boston did with Swayman and Ullmark in previous playoffs. What do you think is the best scenario to run with these 2 goaltenders?
I'm so intrigued, guys. I'm sure you guys have talked about it ad nauseum. I think you start with Stolarz. I think that's a given. I just think he's earned that that opportunity. What'll be really interesting, I'll make for a great show for you guys. If the Leafs lose game 1, then what, right? Like if Stolarz shows some shakiness, I might be, correct me if I'm wrong on this, I don't think Stolarz has ever started a playoff game. I think they ran all the way with Bobrovsky last year. So he's a 30-year-old who's never started a playoff game. And that's not a knock on him. I'm just making the point. You just never know how he's going to feel at that moment on that stage. I have great confidence in Anthony Stolarz and Joseph Woll. I think the Leafs have a really good, solid tandem. I think, Jay, though, it will be a shorter leash. I don't think it's going to be, you go out there and you have a bad game and we'll give you a second and third chance. I think it's going to be like we have as much confidence in the other guy sitting on the bench that if you stumble a little bit, we know we can go to the other guy and hopefully he can provide some stability in that. But that's really been one of the great storylines for the Leafs this year. They're in the top 5 in save percentage. That was not the story in previous playoff runs, whether it was with Freddie Anderson or, we can go way back to James Reimer and some of the other goalies, Samsonov, et cetera. So I think they're feeling very confident in this tandem going into the postseason.
Very fortified. And that's the big thing for me is you look at the blue line specifically. You brought this up earlier on, like they're heavy, they're strong, they're big, they're tough to play against. And even just comparing them to maybe like even 2 postseasons ago, it's like night and day when you look at it.
Yeah. I mean, I think their blue line is sort of the depth of their blue line and the guys, they think defense first. Maybe the one thing they would love, and Riley provides a lot of this, is that guy who, the perfect pass, tape to tape, easy exits through their own zone. They do have more of a chip kind of crew in there, but just the way that McCabe and Tanev and really even OEL and Carlo go about the game, lock down defenders. They think defense first. They're very conscientious. And then when you throw in Nick, here's the other thing, Marner and Matthews and a lot of their offensive players have been very conscientious, being, Selke type players, 200-foot players. And I think that's something that's been sort of mandated from Craig Berube from day one. And it seems to really be part of the fabric of this team. Some games, let's face facts, some of the games aren't as exciting as they used to be. They're not as run and gun as they used to be, which for our standpoint, as fans and media people kind of sucks at times. But it's a winning brand of hockey, 50 wins, 100 plus points, and a team that when push comes to shove and the space is gone in the postseason, they're ready for that style of hockey. They're 21-4-4 in 1-goal games. And I believe that's the best mark in the National Hockey League. So they're used to grinding out wins. And so far, that's been a big recipe for success.
Mm-hmm. David, to people that aren't more hardcore Leafs fans, I think everyone's always saying, oh, they don't have a goaltender, their defense isn't good enough. And although those things are fantastic this year, and that's great, but the problem for the Maple Leafs in the past has been scoring goals in the playoffs. What do you think the big boys and the goal scorers on the team need to focus on to try to alleviate that problem this year?
You're 100% right, Jay, because I've had a lot of friends, diehard Leaf fans, go, oh man, if they're damn goaltending defense. And I go, guys, look at their elimination games. Like, go back, Game 7 last year, Boston. They didn't lose 6-5. They lost 2-1 in overtime, right? 1 for 21 on the power play. When they got eliminated by Columbus in Game 5, I think that was a shutout game. When they got eliminated Game 7 versus Montreal, Nylander scored with 2 minutes left to give them a goal. Like, that has been essentially the problem. You're 100% right. How can they get more offense? I think, first of all, maybe there's just more balance this year. I think as important as the core four is, we talked about Matthew Nyes, Bobby McMahon's can be very important, right? Like, they need some of these complementary pieces, whether it's Max Pacioretty or Nick Robertson or Max Domi or Holmberg. Some of these guys have to contribute and take a bit of the pressure off their star players. Having said that, again, you're making $11 million for a reason. If you're Austin Matthews, if you're John Tavares, Nylander and Marner, like, these guys do have to find a way for some of their regular season success to translate into postseason success. I think Mitch Marner going to Four Nations, guys, I really think that's going to be a jump for him. What was the first thing he said when he arrived back, after the gold medal? He said, playing with Crosby and McKinnon and McDavid and seeing how they operate in these intense moments. He was sitting there in the dressing room staring down in overtime against the U.S. for gold. And we know that's been a big problem with the Leafs in the past, is psychologically they haven't been able to fortify themselves in the biggest moments. I think Mitch Marner will be helped by the fact he's had that run. He's seen how guys who've won championships go about their business, and that can translate into the Leafs dressing room. And Brad Treliving deserves some credit. I'm going on and on here, but he added Steven Lorentz, he added OEL, he added Stolars, he added 3 Stanley Cup winners to this group. He added Chris Tanev, who was in a Western Conference final last year. He's added guys who've had some playoff success, and I think that'll help maybe fortify psychologically what this team needs to really dig down deep when it matters most.
Do you have a regular season MVP?
Might be controversial. I think I'm leaning towards Connor Hellebuck. And I'm probably, and I'm not a guy who goes, oh my God, like I know they have the Vezina. I just think I took a really close look, and what he's doing is exceptional. It's actually probably more impressive than what Carey Price did in 2015. And you're on the number 1 team in the NHL. 36 times this year, he's allowed 2 or fewer goals in games they've won. It takes a ton of pressure off that team to have to score goals. He's been dynamic. I think I'm leaning that way. Jay, you chuckled. You think it's a bad pick? Be honest with me here.
No, I didn't. I was thinking Maple Leafs, but you go big league. I got a buddy who's a diehard Jets fan, and
I'm sorry.
There's just that caveat with Hellebuck of, like, it's kind of Leafy, like, okay, but in the playoffs he seems to kind of be different. So he has that motivation to prove himself in the playoffs, but I don't know, they are scary. And you talk about him being back there and then them having the ability to score goals, like their first line is out of control. So not at all. I was sitting here going, is he going to say Marner? Is he going to say JC? Is he going to say
the reason I went to the league is because I'm trying to figure out the ballot right now for but not just that. I think it's Marner. I mean, if Stolars didn't get injured and played 55 and 60 games at the level he's played in the 40 games, then I would say it could be Stolars. But
Yeah.
Is it anyone? Who else could it be if it's not Marner?
Willie?
Yeah. Marner's been better.
Yeah.
Marner's
no
been
question.
more consistent. Willie's amazing and then kind of disappears.
Yeah.
For a few games. He's amazing and then he kind of disappears for a few games. In the last couple of games, he's sort of disappeared. I know he had that beautiful tip-in goal on the Domi pass, but Marner's been consistently, to me, their best player and the catalyst, and he kills penalties. The overtime, goals. Like, I just think you can kind of go through it check by check, and to me, it'd be Marner.
DA, I wouldn't be here without you. You're my favorite teacher at the College of Sports Media. Appreciate your time today. You're killing it, buddy. We'll talk soon, okay? Enjoy the playoffs.
Don't blame your career on me, please. Gentlemen, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. Yeah, and good seeing you again, Jay. I remember covering you way back with the Leafs back in the good old days.
I appreciate it. You're one of my favorites listening to you on the broadcast. So good to talk to you in person. Thanks for coming on.
Anytime, guys. Enjoy, and let's hope for a good playoff run. It'll be a lot of fun for everyone.
Sounds good, bud. Take care. There's David Amber from Hockey Night in Canada and Sportsnet. Yeah, he taught me in school, man. A lot of fun.
Funny.
Great
you didn't
teacher.
say that beforehand.
Yeah.
Full circle, eh?
Yeah.
You did a pretty good job there, Nicky Bobby. You bring up the big words once in a while, even though
I think it was reporting class that he taught, but he killed it, man. All the broads in class loved him too. Look at his face. He's still there.
Look at that living room too. Some style, my goodness.
the broadies in class loved him, man. They just loved DA, but he was awesome, man. Like, he honestly, and I'm sure you can relate to this, like in school, even growing up, like there's always those teachers who resonate. And I tell DA this every time I see him, like he resonated with me. Like I learned a lot from him. There was a guy I had in grade 7 and 8. I had him in both years. He's a big hockey fan. I learned a lot from him. Like there's those ones who stick out in my life journey.
Yeah, it's like that. And it's like that with coaches too. It would be nice if every one of them had that kind of an impact with you. But that's just probably not realistic. And some people love certain coaches and teachers and other ones can't stand them, and vice versa. Everyone's different and they have different ways of going about it. But yeah, it's funny you mention, teachers like that who had an impact on you. I think coaches are the same. And again, I imagine like Craig Berube, for example, some people are probably head over heels in love with him. We have Vinny Lecavalier on last time, and he's like, well, the guy didn't play me. He scratched me 40 games in a row. I was supposed to be there. I wanted Laviolette, and I laughed because I kind of had the same sentiment. And it doesn't even have to be anything personal against a coach or a teacher. Sometimes it's just, the situation that you're put in. But David Amber, one of the good ones, man. You could talk hockey with him all day long, and it wouldn't feel like you're even trying.
Very good, dude. Very good, dude. JS writes in, can we get Phil as a guest? JS, we've been trying to get Phil Kessel since we started this podcast. There's not even responses from anybody involved in this pod. Like, he loves doing his own thing. Maybe one day we get Phil Kessel, but I would put it like 0.1%, Rosie.
Yeah, I'm just going to go and look at have I texted Phil for this thing?
Yeah, you have.
Yeah, I'm gonna go see.
There's just some guys who don't do media, man. Like I think it's so unique. Like there's people like you who love the microphones, and there's some people just like Kessel who just don't want any part of it.
I texted him in October. There's absolutely no benefit for him to do. He's not trying to. Yeah. He's not trying to make himself a brand. He's not trying to be in the NHL or in the media. He goes and plays poker and fishes, and it goes fishing. That's his deal. So yeah, we try certain guys, and it's funny because sometimes it's not even the guys you'd expect being like, I get so much anxiety thinking about going on a podcast or something that I just respectfully would like to say no. And you're kind of surprised. And then when you do get the guys, obviously like Vinny Lecavalier yesterday, you really appreciate their time because there's nothing really dragging them into doing that.
Rarity to get Vinny on. I know a lot of people were stunned that we got him on, but more so we got the question out there that did pretty well on social media about him almost becoming a Leaf back in December 2001. I told you that would hit.
I know everybody was
my God.
Going back to that time thinking, wow, what would it be like? Because he was young, man. It's not like he was 30. That was that was 4 years before I think they won the Stanley Cup in Tampa. He was a young man and a high-end prospect and a first overall. That would have been really wild to see Vinny in the blue and white, as in the Toronto Maple Leafs, as opposed to the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Oh, well, I've been firing off some texts the last couple of days in anticipation of the Battle of Ontario. I want to get some of the culprits involved, but it just doesn't seem like there's reciprocation on any of those fronts, unfortunately. It'd be great. It would be awesome.
Drew doesn't want to. He's like, hey, I have to say no, man. And it makes sense. You're playing for Ottawa and you're about
No,
to go
not even
against
like
the Leafs,
wait,
and then you're going to go on a
guys.
Leafs podcast. He would take
Yeah.
heat. Why would he open himself up to that at the most crucial
Yeah.
time of the season? I get it. He said after the first round, any times.
Yeah.
If they win, I don't know if we'll take him up on that or not.
Maybe we'll pump G's pending free agency. But no, I met more guys like who played in the Pac-Win era, man. I've bombed a couple and just not much cooking.
I know. It's those guys, some of those guys that have the alumni jackets and are at all the games, they do all the Leafs talk and shaking hands and talking about the past that they want to do. And I kind of get it from that side of it, but selfishly, I would like it if everyone said yes and came on weekly.
Buddy,
we do pretty good for guests here, Nikki. I don't know if you're beating
we do.
yourself up a little bit.
No, I'm not. I'm just like I'm Joey Gallo with Zdeno Chara, man. That's 4 bombs in a row. Just blew. Nothing. Big Z doesn't want any of this.
Oh, with Chara?
Yeah, I want to get Chara. Like I think it'd be cool to get like one guest of each. But
yeah, that would be very cool. That guy just seems like he stays busy running ultra marathons.
Yeah, he's a beast. Like yeah, he's a
no
beast,
time for pods. But thanks to David Amber, that was good. He's I don't know, like what did he say about? Sometimes it's hard to listen to the answer as we're figuring out. But like, what is the answer for them? Yeah, power play you mentioned, but for the big boys that score more bloody goals, like. You can't get stymied. You can't get stuck to the outside. You can't get pinned to the walls. You got to penetrate. You got to create some semblance of odd man rushes. You got to open lanes up. Like in my mind, it is mentality. Time to strap on your big boy pants and go to work. It's not going to be as easy as it was in the regular season. Mitch, you have to do things that you didn't do in the regular season. As much success as you had, that's great, but you have to elevate. You have to bring on another element of it to get that time and space and to get those breakdowns and take advantage. And I just really hope they're ready to put their helmets on and get into the trenches a little bit and change their attitude to be the aggressors and to be the pissed off ones and to say, I am going to shove this down your throat, put you on your back and step on your neck. And they haven't had that in the playoffs. And I think that's one of the big things that's killing them. They want to play fancy hockey, but it's the NHL playoffs. And God, I hope they're ready to dictate the play, man. This just keeps coming to my mind as I get pumped up for Sunday or whenever the hell it is.
Sunday, I'm telling you right now, if I tune into that game, and we're going to do a pregame show, by the way, to get ready for game 1, and I see perimeter hockey, I'm going to snap. So, like, that's all I ask in the first 10 minutes. Like, initiate, dictate, bring it to Ottawa, man. That's a team that hasn't made the playoffs in a long time, right? Like, they're
ready.
Yeah.
They'll be horny, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you imagine how fired they're going to be? They haven't been there, and they're big time.
I think emotion's going to be big in that series where the Leafs have lived this for the last 10 years. And you look at Ottawa, you talk about being horny. I think they're going to be so horny. You know, Brady Tkachuk, first ever playoff game. Like, there's a variety of guys who really haven't been in this battle. Granted, they have some vets like Claude Giroux who will channel and try to channel the energy of the team in the locker room. But I think the Leafs can work on discipline, man. Like, be strong in that department. I think the Sens will take some stupid penalties in that series.
Yeah, maybe it'll be a fine line. Well, and we don't know what to expect out of them. You've mentioned, we haven't seen these guys in a playoffs. We know what Brady Tkachuk and his brother and everyone, what the tone that they can set in the Four Nations, which, by the way, was David Ember's answer. Is I think that Four Nations tournament that was intense. I mean, you look at Drew Doughty saying, "I've never played this unbelievably good, quality, fast, and intense brand of hockey in my life." And there's a guy with like Stanley Cup, his name's on the Stanley Cup, and he's played in everything, and he's a wily veteran and done the Olympics, done everything, and he hasn't seen anything like that. So that is a good answer, that is a precursor, a prep to the playoffs. But yeah, Brady Tkachuk is going to want to put his, I mean, I didn't even think of that. That guy's never been in an NHL playoff game. That it's sad. That blows my mind. I think he's tailor-made for it. He's going to come out flying, like, match the intensity and have the pushback. But and whenever someone's like, let them take penalties, I'm like, okay, well, you're going to get railroaded 7 times. And then on the 8th time, they might take a 2-minuter, which they'll kill off and start railroading you again. I hate that. But yeah, if they want to go crazy and get too excited for the moment and take penalties, that would be great. It would be awesome if our power play could be like it was kind of down the stretch, not as much recently, but there's just so many ways this can go. And it's like that golf tournament on Sunday. You're so excited for it. You have no idea what's going to happen, but you have a very strong inclination that there's going to be fireworks.
Marathon, not a sprint, but it has been a sprint for the last decade when it comes to the Maple Leafs and not doing much substantially. Just getting a rhythm early on, win some hockey games, and then go from there. Breaking news coming in from Bet365, where every nail-biting overtime win is a barn burner, every face-off, hat-trick, power play, shot on goal, penalty shot, and every suspenseful minute in between is amazing. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365, an official partner of the NHL. Download the Bet365 app and use the code NATION. That's Nation, NATION, to get in on the game. Must be 19 or older, Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, visit connexontario.ca. So I think both of us probably going to build off the Milestone watch. Mitch Marner, let's take him to pick up at least 1 point in this game. And one of Matthews or Nylander, or even both. I don't know about you. I'm expecting a very open flow game with a lot of scoring.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I don't mind that. Like David Ember said, with the new style, there has been some games where I'm like, oh, whoa, what's up? It's a good thing at the end of the day. That run and gun, loop and shoot stuff doesn't seem to be too conducive to playoff wins. But I'm looking at my app here. I mean, plus 155 to win by 2. How hard's Buffalo going to be going, you think? Are they in this? Or
well, they're doing the classic Buffalo two-step where down the stretch they start winning games. They have dropped 3 in a row, but Tage Thompson's been on fire. I expect a lot of offense, and I don't know who's going, but James Reimer's been really, really good down the stretch here for Buffalo.
Yeah, for sure. And he'll be ready to play his former team too. There's usually that revenge aspect. Like, it's funny, we were talking about Nylander, we're talking about Mitch and this guy and that guy and Matthew Nyes, and just in the weeds is Austin Matthews. Isn't that kind of odd? I mean, I know he hasn't been himself this year, but if that guy is just a shark in the water and wants to pop off in the playoffs, like if he's like, people are talking about me being one of the best of my generation, blah, 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 but I keep getting knocked down, and I did what I did last year, and it means screw all. I don't feel like I got any flowers that lasted for it, and he's just kind of waiting, and his health wasn't great, and he's taking it easy and wants to just pop off. I mean, what a dream scenario. It's almost like he's kind of in the shadows a little bit, which is insane for the captain of the Maple Leafs, who scored almost 70 last year. So we'll see what he looks like in the playoffs too. Maybe it'll be more of the same. I don't know. It's nice that they got some of the pickup, like John Tavares, the guy that scored the goal to put them to the second round for the first time in 20 years, 2 years ago. He's like a 40 goal scorer. Like, he could take some of that pressure off and be the guy to get some of the big ones. So many different scenarios at play, but they just have so many layers of scoring. It's insane to think that that's always been their problem. We will see if they're any different, man. I'm rambling on as I get so excited. I just want to fast forward to Sunday.
Yeah, no, it's fair. It won't be Reimer. It'll be Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen going for Buffalo. Anthony Stolar is going for the Maple Leafs.
Fun to say.
The lines, Nyes, Matthews, Marner, Domi, Tavares, Nylander, McMahon, Holmberg, Robertson, Lorentz, Lawton, Yarncroke, backhand, Riley Myers, Benoit, Tanev, Mermis, Carlo. So everybody who's been missing, not going to play. No Jake McCabe, no OEL, no Camp. Mermis back in there.
What's the third line? Sorry.
Let me see. I got out of the screen. Third line is McMahon, Holmberg, Robertson.
McMahon, Holmberg, Robertson. Who's up there with Willie and JT?
So Domi played last game, majority of last game. He's back on that line with Tavares and Nylander.
I wonder what it's going to be for Ploffs. I wonder what David Camp is going to be if he activates. I wonder if Pacioretty. It's so I don't love the waiting for the playoffs to throw a guy in the mix, right? I wish Patches could come on a little earlier, but yeah, it's kind of all over the place. But I don't hate any of it. I don't mind Lawton on the 4C either to really grind it up. You know what I've thought about last night is Lawton hasn't played with Pacioretty, and I think those are two guys that could have some cam. I feel like they got a good mixture of a mindset and game and ability and how they are going to attack the playoffs. I think they could do some damage if you get someone to play with them that, maybe has a few other things going on. I mean, that could pop off, and all of a sudden the Scott Lawton narrative of him not kind of underperforming in Toronto so far is a distant memory. That could be unbelievable. All these hypotheticals, man. I am pumped, but yeah, I would put pick the big boys on my Bet365 app to get a couple goals, hit the milestones. Maybe even sprinkle in some Domi to stay hot with some appetizers. He seems to be dishing it. I don't even care, man. Get a point and get the hell out of there.
Get in, get out. And it's I know it's the final road game of the season, but effectively this is going to be a home game for the Leafs. That place is going to be buzzing. Try to get that Atlantic Division title for the first time in franchise history. We'll leave it at that for today, Rosie. Thank you to David Amber for dropping by. We got Mike Rupp on tomorrow's podcast. That should be fun.
Sick. We had him maybe our first year.
Yeah.
Did we not? I had a couple scraps with Rupper. He was always a handful, and I like his hot takes on the interview.
I got a bone to pick with Rupper tomorrow. I'm just gonna put it out there. I'm watching a Blues Pens game 2 weeks ago, and out of nowhere, Mike Rupp starts talking about a Pittsburgh offer sheet to Matthew Nyes. So we're gonna address that tomorrow.
It would be Dubas doing it too.
Yeah, come on.
Does he have the balls? We will see.
Yes.
I doubt it.
So Mike Rupp's coming out tomorrow. We're going to recap this Toronto Buffalo game. We'll either be talking about the Leafs clinching the Atlantic Division or looking ahead to Game 82 at home against Detroit on Thursday. Thank you to producer Vic. Thank you to everybody in the chat at the Leafs Nation 401. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. Leafs Morning Take wherever you find your podcast. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review. Don't forget as well. Nationgear.ca if you're Now We Go t-shirt or our official playoff t-shirt. So check that out. TheLeafsNation.com. Also make sure to check out tonight's edition of TLN After Dark with Zach Phillips and guest Carter Hutton. For Jay Rosehill, I'm Nick Alberga. We'll talk tomorrow. Take care. Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long form interviews. We got clips. We got epic rants by Jay Rosehill. We simply have it all. And don't forget, you can find out much more at TheLeafsNation.com. Thanks so much for watching.